You ever notice how your birthday feels different the older you get? What used to be pure excitement can start to feel a little, well, complicated. Today, we're going to dive into a 1983 sermon from Reverend Sun Moon that gets right into that feeling. It offers a really unique way of looking at time, our purpose, and yeah, even death itself. So the sermon kicks off by asking this really human question. It gets at something we all feel, right? The way we see time just completely changes as we age. When you're young, a new year feels like this wide open road. But for older folks, it can sometimes feel like you're getting closer to the last page of the book. So you've got these two sides of the coin. On one side, you've got the youthful view where the future is just this big promise of excitement and new things. But then, for the elderly, the sermon suggests that the past can feel so big that the future looks more like a sundown. This contrast, this is the big human problem the sermon is trying to solve. How do we deal with time passing without being afraid? So to get at this dilemma, the sermon puts forward this really foundational idea it calls the wave principle. The claim is that there's this universal rhythm that controls, well, everything, from the way the cosmos moves all the way down to how our own bodies work. So what is this wave principle exactly? It really boils down to this idea of complementary give and take. The point is that all the ups and downs in life, they're not just random chaos. Going down isn't a failure. It's actually the essential part of the process that gives you the momentum you need to go back up again. And the sermon argues that once you know to look for this, you start seeing this pattern everywhere. Think about it. Ocean waves, rising and then falling. The back and forth movements in a dance. The simple act of breathing in and then out. Or even just how every single day rises in the morning and falls into evening. It's presented as this fundamental law of how everything works. Okay, so if all of life is moving like a wave, what's so special about the very top of it? The peak? Well, the sermon uses this really powerful metaphor to describe that ultimate moment, high noon. Just take a second and picture that. A moment with no shadow. It means pure, unfiltered light, because the sun is right on top of you. It's such a striking way to describe a moment of absolute clarity, isn't it? So you see, in this way of thinking, high noon isn't just a time on a clock. It's a spiritual condition. It stands for the brightest possible sunlight, a state of total satisfaction where God and humanity can meet in perfect harmony with absolutely nothing missing. All right, and this is where this whole worldview starts to really challenge our deepest fears. Because if life is a wave with a peak called high noon, what does that make the final sundown, death itself? From this perspective, death, it's not the end. Not even close. It's defined as a kind of revolutionary transformation, a move from our visible, physical self into an invisible, spiritual self. It's framed as an elevation, not destruction. So you get this really stark contrast. On one side, there's the traditional view of death as this gloomy end, a fading out. But this teaching is trying to totally flip that on its head, reframing death as a new birth, a transition into a new world where you can have a much more direct relationship with God. You know, this next analogy is pretty fascinating. Our entire life here on Earth is described as a kind of prep time, like we're in a universal womb. So just like a baby develops lungs inside the womb to get ready to breathe air, we are developing a spiritual self that's designed to, get this, breathe love in the next world. Okay, so if life here is all just prep work, then what's the homework? How do we actually do it? How do we reach that high noon state while we're still here? Well, the sermon lays out a pretty clear path, and it's all about one guiding principle. The key, it says, is to live for other people. Marriage is presented as the most important event in life because it's the main training ground for this kind of selfless love. This horizontal unity between two people on earth is what prepares them for the ultimate vertical union with God. And really, it all boils down to this one simple but incredibly powerful idea. Total, unselfish dedication to other people. That's what true love is. And that's what powers the whole system. It's how you practically live in sync with that universal wave we were talking about. And all of this brings us right back around to where we started, to that original question about how we see time passing and what it really means to live a good life, or, like the sermon's title says, to have a good year. So the big takeaway here isn't to try and avoid the low points or to fear the sundown. It's about understanding that you need the downs to get to the ups. It's about learning to ride the whole wave, embracing all of its rhythm because it's all part of a journey towards something much bigger. In the end, this sermon doesn't leave you with a period, but with this incredible, forward-looking promise. It suggests that death isn't some finish line to be scared of, but a doorway to an ultimate destination of love and perfect union. And that leaves us with this final, pretty provocative question. If you truly, deeply believed that death was just a new beginning, how would that change the way you live your life? Right now, today. It's a challenge to rethink everything, our daily actions, our relationships, and what it really means to live a good life.